Why are people moving to Charlotte? I don't think it's just Charlotte. I think that people want change. You know, it's people that's living in big cities such as New York, Chicago, San Francisco, and they're paying these outrageous amount of rent. You know, the cost of living in these major cities is ridiculous, and you know, they're living in these cubby holes, paying all of this rent and just having to deal with the hustle and bustle, you know, and just dealing with the ills of big cities to the point where they just want change. And I get it. I'm glad that people want change, you know, because we oftentimes, when you look at the past, oftentimes we do the same thing that our mothers and fathers do. You know, we live in the same area, same city, same state. Nowadays, people are starting to wake up and they're starting to say, hey, listen, I have options. And I'm willing to make certain sacrifices, take chances, you know, and that's a beautiful thing. You understand? And when you have people like that migrate to other places, they bring culture. And that's the thing that Charlotte is. You know, it's turning, it's turning, metamorphosizing, if I'm using that word right, into this gumbo-like city where it's like people coming from all parts of the country, you know, from all parts of the world. And they're coming here and they're bringing their culture here and they're demanding certain things. So they're like, you know, well, I'm used to this restaurant, I'm used to this store, and blah, 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 blah. So businesses are coming here, restaurants are coming here. It's not just people, but it's corporations. And they're establishing themselves here in Charlotte. And, you know, Charlotte is trending now. You know, they did a survey, I guess. And they were, you know, talking about what's the top 10 best cities to move to right now. And Charlotte was number 6. Austin, Texas was number 1. And then they did another top 10 cities, major cities, that people are making a massive exodus out of, right? And number 1 was Connecticut. Number 2 was New York. And Chicago was on the list. What else? There's other cities that I forgot. But people just want change, man. They just do, and hey, listen, I can't blame them. You know, you come here and you're looking at this city and you're like, wow, this city is, you know, it's new. Everything that's in Charlotte is basically new. Even though Charlotte is an older city, it's still new. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're building, you know, so when you come here, you're gonna see it being clean. And that's one thing that you hardly see in these major cities. You know, big cities, you know, they're ran down somewhat because they're older. Whereas Charlotte is new. You understand? And there's like areas of Charlotte. You know, we're not big enough to, you know, have boroughs like New York City does, but we're big enough to have certain parts and areas. Like I stay in the Still Creek area. You know, you have South Park, you have Ballantyne, you have Huntersville, you have the West End, you know, and the list goes on. University area, the list goes on. There's so much to do here and so many places to live. You don't necessarily have to stay in Charlotte. You can stay in the outskirts of Charlotte, like Concord or Fort Mill, Indianland. You know, so there's a lot to do here. The state of North Carolina, it's like it's an exciting time. You know, I've lived here for quite some time. You know, I'm originally born and I've lived in New York, you know, and I've lived in several different places. You know, I've stayed in Atlanta. I've lived, as far as dealing with New York, I've lived in Brooklyn, Jamaica, Queens, Long Island. I stayed a little bit in Orlando, Florida, as well as in Atlanta. And here in North Carolina, I lived in Greensboro, Durham, Raleigh, Charlotte, and I think that's it. I stayed 2 weeks in Fayetteville. I just couldn't take it. You know what I'm saying? So you know, I've been here and I've literally seen, you know, the growth in North Carolina. Now, taking heed, if you want to live in a decent sized city, there's basically only 2 cities that's going to give you that. Charlotte being number 1, which is the biggest out of the, you know, biggest city out of the whole state. And then what city falls in line number 2 is Raleigh. You know, Raleigh's going to give you that city feel, but it's still, Raleigh, I would put it like this: Raleigh is always going to be Raleigh, meaning that it's never going to catch up to Charlotte. It's always going to be that small city, but it's still it. Like, I've lived in Raleigh in the 90s, you know what I'm saying, the late 90s, and so it's going to give you way more better than what it was in the 90s. You understand? But other than that, yeah, man, the Charlotte is popping, you know? It really is. A lot of people migrating here. There's a lot of projects going on. You know, they have this project that's going on right now in Uptown Charlotte called a Gateway Station. A Gateway Station is going to have the Greyhound bus station there, Amtrak train station there, and if I'm not mistaken, they're building the second part of the light rail that's going to run from Johnson C. Smith all the way down to Johnson and Wales, which is a culinary school, university, and straight through Gateway Station on up to Uptown and going all the way to Central Avenue. So that area is gonna be dope. You know, it's gonna be shops there, it's gonna be restaurants, it's gonna be, you know, condos and apartments and stuff like that. So that's how Charlotte is getting down. You going to Uptown, there's cranes everywhere. You know, buildings being put up. You know, South End is ridiculous. South End 3 years ago didn't look nowhere near the way that it looks now. You know, I stay here in Still Creek. You know, and right up the street you got Breadwick. I'm gonna call it the Breadwick area now because there's a lot of stuff over there. You got the Premium Outlet Mall. You have you know, hotels. You have, well, one hotel. You have houses. You have apartments. I mean, that whole area, you got the grocery stores and fast food restaurants and stuff like that. That whole area is like, you don't even have to leave that area if you live in that area. And if you live in that area, you can walk to where you have to go. I mean, most people drive, but you can walk in that area. So Charlotte is turning into this dope city. When you drive around the city, you see art. You know, I was driving down Arrowwood right when you get off of, or when you get onto 77, Arrowwood, and it's going towards South Boulevard. I'm looking over to the left, and I'm like, it's this building, and it has graffiti all over it, but it's dope. You know, it's not like somebody did it illegally, like they paid for an artist to do it. So it's art everywhere around the city, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's murals everywhere around the city, just like how Atlanta is. You understand? So, man, I mean, the city's diverse. You know, you can't beat it. I mean, there's no type of racial tension going on here. I mean, there have been black men that have been killed by, you know, police officers, but I think the last one, you know, Charlotte said, hey, listen, enough is enough. You know, the Charlotteans, man, they instead of tearing their own shit up, excuse me for cursing, they took it uptown and started tearing everything uptown up. So the people, those people, they were like, I don't know, we should ease up off of like trying to do any harm, because these guys are coming to our place, tearing up our shit and not theirs. So, yo, it's a pretty dope city, man. I can't complain. I can't say that I'm gonna live here forever, but at the end of the day, I will forever call this home. I understand why people migrate here. I understand why people want change, and they come here and they feel at home, and they feel like, you know what, man, I could really, like, you know, make magic happen here. You know, because it's just that type of city, man. A cop gets behind me, and now this is a black man talking. Black man, I'm black. Black man, cop gets behind me, I'm not sweating bullets. I'm just like, whatever. I mean, I'm not doing nothing illegal, so what am I worried about it for? Charlotte is like a real hippie city. It really is. You know, I always joke and I say this, and don't take it personal, white people. I always say this. I say, you know, the white people here are like aliens. They're from another planet. They're not like regular white people. They're different. You know, these white people that's here, they hippies, they cool, they listen to hip hop, they drink, they smoke weed. And I'm not saying that that's a positive thing. I'm just saying that they're just just down to earth. That's the only point that I'm making. You know, you don't necessarily have to smoke weed and drink. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that they're just down to earth people. It's nothing like you going to a bar, and I've said this numerous times before. It's nothing like you going to a bar and white guy over there, you having a conversation with him. It might be about sports or, you know, working out or whatever have you. And next thing you know, the round's on him. So it's just a pretty dope city, and I totally get why people migrate here. The infrastructure here, you know, is sound. They've been working on this since the late 60s. Like they already knew where the Carolina Panthers stadium was going to be. They already had the blueprint for all of this stuff that's going on right here, that they're building right now in the late 60s. Just think about that. Now think about Atlanta's infrastructure. Infrastructure is horrible because they're playing catch up. You understand? Like when I left, as I was leaving, they were building express lanes on Highway 400. They should have been did that 15, 20 years ago. When I first moved there, they just had finished building express lanes going down 75 on Marietta and going up to Kennesaw, I don't know how to pronounce it. You know, so it's like, how are you have to understand that there's gonna be an influx of people, but y'all are not prepared. What I'm trying to tell you, Charlotte is prepared. You wanna come here? You don't have to worry about having somewhere to live. They're already building condos, apartments, and housing developments for you. They already have, well, prior to COVID-19, they already had the jobs available. I'm not going to say that they don't have it now, but yo, man, Charlotte is still, it's still, the city is still functioning. You understand? It's still functioning. It's still traffic. It's people still going to work, and from what I see, I mean, looking from the outside in, of course, you know, you can't like say that it's good for everyone, because that's false. But at the end of the day, man, people are our economy and is doing okay. I go to the grocery stores, or I go to the mall, and people are buying and spending money. You know, so we're not as bad off as other cities and states. You know, Charlotte is still it's still a functional city. I think I've covered everything. Oh, I'll leave you all with this. For those that are looking at this video, and this is the first time that you've seen me and, you know, known anything about me, I definitely didn't leave anything out, you know, far as dealing with Charlotte. I have different parts of Charlotte. I actually did or still doing a tour around Charlotte. I've gotten up to part 46. So I'm not going to cover the economy. I'm not going to cover the things that you have questions about, because I've covered it in parts 1 through 46. So what I'm going to do for you all, I'm going to put the link in the description box to the playlist, A Tour Around Charlotte, part 1 through 46, and you can go through it. I've drove through different areas and talked about the economy and talked about jobs and talked about the cost of living, etc. All in there, you know. But I'll leave you all with this: the average house is about $300,000. You're gonna pay about $1,300 a month. Now think about that in comparison to like a place like San Francisco, where the average house is going to cost you $1 million and you have to pay $4,000 a month for rent. So, you know, yeah, man, it's a dope city, and it's not expensive to live here. You know, I'd stay in a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, front yard, backyard, garage for $505. Yeah, about $505. I was paying like $1,450, but of course I renewed the lease, and you know, they bumped the rent up a couple of dollars. What else? We don't have any tunnels. We don't have any bridges. You know, we don't have no bridges like Delaware, no tunnels like Maryland or like New York. When you get here, you know, North Carolina, the whole state is pretty much a flat state. Like there's no hills or, you know, anything like that, like Atlanta. You know, like hilly, if that's not even a word. But you know, there's so many hills in Atlanta. We don't have that. I think that's about it. I mean, I've covered the weather in in the parts of Charlotte that I did, that the link is in the description box. But for the most part, we have long hot summers, short winters, that plain and simple. That's about it. Other than that, I want you to like, comment, subscribe, definitely share this video.